This is Paul Nobles. I wanted to run through things related to body fat tests. This is from eat2perform.com. A couple things with body fat tests. We recommend that everybody get a body fat test, and a lot of people make a lot of assumptions early on related to their body fat that end up being incorrect once they get it tested. And unfortunately, that sort of skews the way that they move forward. In general, we like to let people know that it's a baseline, that you don't want to be overly concerned about that first number, because the real magic starts to happen once you start testing on a regular basis. A lot of the people that are coming to our site are coming from a relatively under eating way of doing things, potentially a low carbohydrate way of doing things. And so they haven't really been focusing on keeping lean body mass as much as we would like them to be doing. And so that is actually the most important number that you're going to be looking at as you go from one body fat to the second, third, fourth, fifth. And those are going to really facilitate a lot of the changes, because anything that you're doing, you want to be losing fat, but the biggest priority is to keep that lean muscle mass, because in terms of metabolism, having more muscle is going to be the most favorable thing. In terms of fat loss, especially for people with a good amount of fat to lose, your biggest indicator is going to be actual weight loss. If you look at Maggie's example, she lost a fair amount of weight. She did gain 7 pounds of muscle. One of the reasons why she gained 7 pounds of muscle, she was relatively new to training. And so when you're new to training, you're activating a lot of muscles that haven't been used in quite some time. And so you get a big benefit early on. If you have been CrossFitting for a while, you won't see a similar type of gain. You might see a similar type of gain if you're carb restricted, but a lot of time that will also equal a little bit more a weight gain, because if your muscle, I talk about this quite a bit, your muscle is some level of water. And so let's say that as an example, it's 60 to 90%. If you're taking a low carbohydrate approach, in the end, you're pulling all the water out of your muscles. And so when you start to add some of the water back into your muscles, you get a little bit closer, from the 60% to the 90%. And in the end, that is going to give you a little bit of weight gain. Most of that weight gain is obviously not new tissue, but it is fully hydrated muscles. And so that ends up being a plus as it relates to PRs, as it relates to athletic output, and is more of a clear indicator of what your true muscle mass is. And so the approach that we like to take is, once you've started to add carbohydrates back in, you want to occasionally eat less, and that allows for a better picture for fat loss down the road. And so that's what you'll end up using a lot of your body fat tests for going forward, is just to gauge the progress. Say, okay, well, I'm keeping my muscle mass. You know, my weight is still a little higher, and I'm not seeing fat loss as a result. So I'm going to have to start to maybe add in a rest day, maybe get a little bit more aggressive on calories occasionally. Nothing too drastic, because the more drastic you go, the more likely you are to rebound related to fat gain, and you'll end up with cravings and things of this nature. And so the whole idea is sort of a minimal approach. One of the things that is a big advantage for people in the extreme fat loss category is that their fat layer actually works as a level of protection for their muscle. And so you can get a little more aggressive. It's probably not comfortable necessarily always, but if you can do that outside of your workouts, I think you'll be better off. And so hopefully this is a little helpful. I know I stumbled over few parts of it, but in general, I think it's going to be pretty positive idea. I think it's something that's confusing a lot of people, and we wanna obviously help them with that. So thanks a lot.